Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about The Alchemist and how the theme of love is portrayed throughout the novel. So let's get started. Um, so just kind of an alchemist summary. The novel is about a Spanish shepherd boy named Santiago who one day encounters the king of Salem named Melchizedek. Now, Melchizedek, that name is important because in the Bible, Melchizedek was closely related to Jesus Christ. And so um, that's just kind of necessary to remember when you're looking at the religious components of this novel. Anyway, um, so this king convinces Santiago to basically leave his life behind in order to travel to Egypt to search for his personal legend. A personal legend is kind of God's plan for an individual. What he or she is supposed to do, achieve, that kind of thing. And so Santiago's personal legend was to go to the pyramids in Egypt and to find this great treasure. So Santiago obeys the king and he begins his journey into Africa. Now, Santiago's determination to really live out his personal legend is very much tested as he navigates through Africa. He has to spend a year living with a merchant because all of his money was stolen. And so, how he keeps his determination alive is by reading the omens that God has left for him. And, the omens lead him to join a caravan, and which is traveling to Egypt. However, eventually this caravan has to stop at an oasis because there is a great war going on in the desert. At this oasis, though, Santiago meets this girl named Fatima, and he instantly falls in love with her. Um, Upon this love at first sight experience, Santiago kind of understands that love is the universal language of the world, and by understanding that, he begins to understand what the soul of the world is. The soul of the world is kind of defined as an interconnection between all of God's creation. So you know, between the sun and us, between us and the plants, just kind of everything, how we are all connected. And so, eventually, Santiago does leave the oasis in order to continue his pursuit for his personal legend. He follows an alchemist throughout the desert, and on this journey, he encounters even more trials. There's a point where he really has to consider his faith and really rely on it, as he has to appear to transform himself into the wind, and he really has to understand God and understand what he's doing. Eventually, however, Santiago does fulfill his personal legend and he does find the treasure. So let's kind of look at the background of the cultures. So Spain at the time um, that this novel takes place, which I'm assuming is somewhere in the 1700s, um, Spain primarily consisted of Catholics. Now, Santiago was one of these Catholics. He did believe in Jesus Christ, and he did believe that God was the Father. And so, Northern Africa, which isn't too far away from Spain, actually practiced mostly Islam at the time. So there were very opposing religious views in a relatively close area. And so, let's get into love. So, my theme statement for love is that in The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho portrays love as the way in which a person's spirit, regardless of the specific religion that person practices, connects with other people and with God. So, this is kind of shown through two different kinds of relationships between man and man, and relationships between man and God. And so, let's look at the relationships between man and man. So, like I said earlier, Santiago falls in love with Fatima almost immediately. And, you know, Santiago is in an area where he knows almost everyone is Muslim. Um, and Fatima is even wearing the traditional Muslim dress. However, um, you know, those religious differences are, they honestly don't make a difference. Santiago falls in love with her immediately, and their souls just connect on this deep level through love, which is deeper than their faith, which is deeper than their differences. Um, and so then Santiago, as he prepares to leave the oasis, he tells Fatima, "So I love you because the entire universe conspired to help me find you." So here Santiago is saying that the entire universe, everything, all that he has gone through, um, has led him to finding Fatima. And so this is saying that, um, their spirits were connected by love before they even knew that they were in love. And so that everything in the universe, everything that God did, everything that everyone did, um, push them to find each other and to understand that relationship and find that relationship, even though their souls were so deeply connected by love already. Um, so let's look more at the relationship between man and God. So when Santiago is having, that moment where he's talking to the wind, the sun, and God, um, he tells the sun, "If you know about love, you must know about the soul of the world because it's made of love." Now, remember that the soul of the world is this interconnection between everything, basically. And so, what Santiago is saying here is that God connected everything through love, through God's love specifically. And so, that's saying that, we are connected with plants and we are connected with puppies and we are connected with everything just by God's love and by the relationship that He has with us, which I think is pretty cool. But anyway, as Santiago continues in these conversations, um, he prepares to talk to God. And the book says, "A current of love rushed from his heart, and the boy began to pray." So this is saying that as soon as Santiago really acknowledged God's love, there was just this immediately deep love connection that Santiago could notice. There was always this relationship between the two, but once Santiago really connected with that love, the connection between the two of them, between God and Santiago, was just so clear and was so evident. Um, yeah. And so then this kind of leads me to ask two questions. One, how can we express love for all of God's creation? And two, do we express love differently for His creations? Do I express love the same for a puppy as I am going to a plant? Are we expected to love everything equally, or are there varying levels of love? Just what do you think? Um, yeah, and then this is kind of an image I found that portrays Santiago looking at the pyramids as he finally arrives in Egypt. And so thank you guys for listening. Here are my sources. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.